but I couldn't get anywhere. So we just decided that I had a girlfriend at the time. Thank you. And she was like, you guys should just do your own show. And I was like, oh, that's stupid. And then she like sent me a listing in the back of the Reader to rent a theater in Hillcrest. And it's I don't know what it is now. I think it's still there, but it used to be called Sixth the Pin. And they only did gay shows.
Okay.
Nice,
And it was like, I'll tell you about it in a second.
Yeah, I was going to say, maybe elaborate on that.
I will, because it was the greatest. But so
ahead.
anyway, so like we were theater. We wanted to do theater. All of us, our little group, ended up calling ourselves the Honking Geese, but all we wanted to do was theater. But we were like, we got to put on our own stuff. And so that's how we got into comedy, was like, we like comedy. Mm-hmm. And we rented a theater. So literally, I rented a theater and I paid for it.
That's pretty cool.
And then I got the guys together and said, I rented a theater and we have to put on a show.
What
in
are we
2
going to
months.
do there?
And they were like, oh, what do we do?
How old were you at this time?
19.
You rented a theater at 19.
Now, the price was very affordable. It was a little 32-seat theater, and it was like, I want to say like $150 for a 4-hour block.
Oh, love. That's
Wow.
great.
And
we should do that.
it was
bad.
super shitty. Like, I mean, the lights didn't really work very well. And they didn't do anything there. So anyway, so we rented the theater. And I said,
You basically
hey,
rented a back room.
Yeah,
with 30 chairs.
With
in
chairs.
it. Yeah.
And we didn't know how to write comedy. We didn't know anything about it. So we read this book by Monty Python with every script from Flying Circus. So we would read the book, and that's how we learned how to write like comedy. And then we would
good.
there was a documentary we watched about Kids in the Hall where they explained like their writing process. So we just stole that.
Yeah.
And it was like everything we just borrowed. Like, but the first script I ever wrote, I literally wrote on a yellow notepad in pencil. And to write copies, I literally wrote copies because nobody had a computer.
Awesome.
It was crazy. So that's how we taught ourselves. And then we just put on shows. And the first show was at this place called Sixth the Pin. And we went in the back, and there was all posters from the other shows. And it was titles like Cockfight. And our favorite to this day was Freshman Year Sucks. Because I'm like, that could mean so much.
So many
There's
things.
there. Why did we miss it? Like, we were so bummed. But there was like, we found dildos everywhere.
Yeah.
Nice.
So we were trying to figure out how we could put them in the show. Like,
Yeah, just hide
guys,
them around and
free
act like it's
drugs.
normal.
you're not wrong. Like,
Yeah,
there was
exactly.
an idea of like, there was a lot of black dildos. So we were like, if we put them in the corners,
No
and
one
like
noticed.
we just put them there,
won't see 'em.
and people could be like, why is there a black? And like,
Like, you don't
It's
see
art.
that, do
You don't
know?
understand
It was art.
it. You
It's
know?
art.
but the early days were like, we did shows and we sold out literally every single show we ever did, which isn't to say that much because this theater was so small.
Yeah.
But by the time we did our second show, so we did that, and then we did like a small run, and then we did another show like 4 months later, and each show was like 2 hours, and we produced everything ourselves. Like, we wrote it, directed it, did lights. And yeah, I mean, that's how we got into comedy. We just did that. And then we got bored writing one night, and we were like, we lived in La Jolla, like 4 of us all lived in this apartment in La Jolla, and they were like, hey, let's go do stand-up. And all of us were like, that sounds terrible. But there was an
Let's
open
do
mic
it.
night. So we went down to the Comedy Store in La Jolla, and we literally wrote each other's jokes. Like, we just wrote jokes for each other. And then we got up and we did them. And that night, we were asked to be in the Best of San Diego from then on, like
Wow.
their show. And we thought that
Wow.
was the funniest thing ever because our bits were terrible.
Yeah,
Like,
just
awful.
awful.
But everybody else was really terrible.
Yeah.
So it was like, I guess we were just better than terrible.
Just because you were there.
Just above terrible.
Well, and we all had like stage presence. We were theater
Sure.
kids, so like we knew how to be on stage. You know what I mean? And we all like kind of quit, except for some guys that did it that night. Like, went on to keep doing it, and they like, I mean, it's kind of I could ramble on forever about what they're doing, but they went on to like write on TV shows and from there, and yeah, the whole thing kind of blew up. But that's how we like got into comedy. Was we just kind of forced it upon ourselves because there was no other opportunities to be had.
Oh, hey, I didn't see you there. Did you like that funny clip? I sure did. Go ahead and watch some more clips. And if you loved those, go ahead and head over to our YouTube channel where all of our episodes, they're right there. See you there.